What's up, all my Ewoks, droids, and Wookiees? It's Anna, also known as that Star Wars girl, and today I'm going to be talking about the new rumors surrounding the Obi Wan Kenobi series that's going to be premiering on Disney Plus later next year, and how Princess Leia has been cast, and how Princess Leia is going to be a huge character and plot arc and thing in the Obi Wan Kenobi show, which I thought was supposed to be about Obi-Wan watching and protecting Luke from a distance. But I guess it's going to have Leia, which, I mean, if they do it right, which if they have, you know, when you have those shows where it's like, here's this character on this planet or doing this thing, and then here's these characters going on doing here, and they have Bail Organa be a huge part of it, and you get to see little Leia and, you know, Bail Organa setting up the Rebel Alliance and stuff with the Empire, and that would kind of makes sense as to why Darth Vader is supposedly in the show too. It could work. It could work when somebody that knows what they're doing is doing it, but based on the way Disney does things, it doesn't seem that they hire people that know what they're doing. But let's check out these rumors or leaks or whatever the heck you want to call them that people are reporting on and see what it has to say. Okay, so let's get right to this part. Last year, when casting was really just getting underway for the show, the Illuminati reported that it looked like they were going to be casting for both a young Luke and Leia. I can tell you Leia is a part of Kenobi in a big way. In fact, from what I've heard, the stuff dealing with Leia is pretty much the impetus for the whole show and what gets Obi-Wan Ben into another adventure. Even better, I can tell you that Vivian Lyre Blair, Bird Box, and We Can Be Heroes has been cast in the role. As for other roles, I've heard that we'll be seeing a few characters who initially appeared in Star Wars Rebels. With the show itself set about 9 to 10 years before the events of the show, it makes sense that we'll see plenty of those characters pop up, which brings me to another actor, Sung Kang. Kang was part of the official casting announcement for the show, though no details on who he was playing were given. From what I've heard, Sung Kang is playing one of the Inquisitors, those evil Darksiders tasked with hunting down the remaining Jedi. In fact, during an interview today, Kang made mention of seeing Vader on set and referenced being put into a Star Wars costume. Both of my sources seemed pretty confident when they said that Kang was playing none other than the fifth brother who appeared in Rebels. As others have heard/reported, there seem to be quite a few Inquisitors, including another we've seen before in this series, and yes, there will be plenty of Clone Wars flashbacks that feature a certain apprentice. From the sounds of it, Kenobi is really bridging the gap between the two eras and using the stuff we've seen from the animated shows to do so as well. I was already excited for this show, but the things I've heard have managed to kick my hype into a level I didn't know existed. There are some neat things coming from the series, and it sounds like it's still on track to land spring 2022, probably before even Andor hits. Now, I know that was a lot, but let me just go through and break this down a little bit. What I have up here on my screen is the interview that was referenced from Sung Kang, and him just talking about Star Wars and how excited he is. And it's like, wow, this guy actually seems like a Star Wars fan. And he talks about how he had like a Darth Vader and a Luke Skywalker costume when he was a kid, and he loved Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, so being a part of this is like the best thing in the world for him. And it's like, if only the people that worked on this and were in charge of Star Wars felt the same way about Star Wars, maybe we wouldn't got the dumpster fire shit show that we got for the sequels and everything else that's basically come out from it. And, High Republic, oh God. But based on all of this information, again, even the person that was reporting on this said that they were, what did they say that they were rumors? It was information that they got from their source. Now, guys, as far as like sources and stuff, it's like I can read Reddit, I can read 4chan. When it comes from articles from websites that I've never heard of, I take it with a grain of salt. So when I watched all of this Princess Leia news coming out, I kind of sat back and I'm like, do I believe this or not? But enough people wanted me to talk about this, so I was like, fine, I'll talk about it. This is my 2 cents on it. I don't know if it's real or not, but if it is, this is how I think it could work. And I guarantee you they're not going to do any of it. Now, there's been plenty of shows, stories, books, throughout the history of fucking time where you have different characters and you're following different characters' stories, and then they all meet up and join up at the end for a grand finale. That's not an uncommon tactic in storytelling. You got plot B or plot A with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's the main character. The show is literally called Kenobi. So you have Obi-Wan watching Luke from a distance. There's tremors in the Force. He knows that Anakin is Darth Vader and all the shit that's going on, and so it's probably plaguing him in his soul. So Obi-Wan is going on this internal mental battle within himself because he still feels guilty about the fact that he failed Anakin. That's his last time when he sees Anakin, and I have the high ground Anakin, and he's like, I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. So obviously, Obi-Wan is a very different character when he drops Luke off on Tatooine than he is when you see him in A New Hope when he fights Vader, right? So something happened between that time. I mean, yeah, a lot of time passed between that. So there's going to have to be some kind of character development where he comes to terms with his own personal failings, and he, learns that it was out of his control, and he loses that guilt that he had. So there's plotline A that can be going on, which I think is very compelling. How do you handle guilt? How do you deal with loss? How do you deal with the betrayal? That's all like a psychological man versus man story arc, along with him having to watch and protect Luke and maybe seeing things that Luke, that reminds him of Anakin, and that could even more plague him. That is so compelling. That could be so good, like a psychological thriller, a drama. So good, especially with Ewan McGregor. Oh my God. If they got the right people to write it and to direct it, it could be fantastic and phenomenal. But they're not going to do it, I guarantee you. And then you got storyline B, which would be Bail Organa. Again, one of the few people that know that Luke and Leia are twins and that they exist. He knows all of that. He was there for the downfall of the Republic and the takeover of the Empire. And so you have Bail Organa, and it could be his story arc that's going along, parallel with Obi-Wan's. He can't talk to Obi-Wan really. Can't talk to Yoda. They're all, agreed radio silent. So he is trying to play his part, which is getting the Rebel Alliance kickstarted because the Empire is taking over. So you can actually see how the Empire or the Emperor is starting to, get rid of stuff that they all claimed was good. It's going to be the first galactic empire, and, Padme saying, this is how it all dies, with thunderous applause. And you can see all that from Bail Organa's eyes while he has his little daughter, Leia. And so it could be Leia watching her father, or, her adopted father, starting the Rebel Alliance and him teaching her how this stuff is bad. And so that could be, Leia would be the audience's character. So we would be watching all of this happen and learning about it through Leia's eyes and her perspective because she's a child, and Bail Organa is the adult that's teaching her. So it's the little, I'm blanking on the correct terminology for this. Of course, when I'm filming a video is when I blank on what the terminology is for this type of character. But it's a story device, a plot device that we would all be watching it through Leia's perspective and learning about it. And so not like they're holding your hand and walking you through it, but it makes sense as why he is explaining everything to Leia. And so that could be done very well. Again, that would be plot point B going along parallel with plot point A. And then you could even have another one where it's Darth Vader, because that's the thing that they pitched, is that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are going to be fighting. Now, what I think the only way to make that work is which they introduced in the terrible sequels, but I mean, if you guys already introduced it, you already fucked it up, so might as well use the shit that you introduced, right? So if Obi-Wan is going on, remember, Obi-Wan's having that mental battle, and he has to overcome it before A New Hope happens because we know he's a very different character. So how they introduce the Force Skype or the Force call. So let's say Obi-Wan is meditating, and in his meditations, he sees Vader or Anakin, whichever one you guys want to refer to him, because I don't think Vader or Anakin ever loses himself, because we see in Return of the Jedi when Vader is talking to Luke, he doesn't talk to him as Vader. He talks to him as Anakin, because when Luke says, join, you're not going to take me to the Emperor, come back with me, Father. And Anakin says, it's too late for me, son. That's not Darth Vader. That's Anakin admitting that he knows everything that he did was a mistake, but he's gone too far to the dark side. He can't come back. That was Anakin speaking, not Darth Vader. So you could have the same psychological issues going on within Anakin while he's Darth Vader. And so he has all that anger. He has all that suffering. He has flashbacks of him thinking that he killed Padme, of all of his anger and his frustration with Obi-Wan not being able to be a master on the council. And, since they do kind of hint that Ahsoka is going to be in this as well, him, you know, thinking about how Ahsoka left and that, that still gets me in the feels. When, you know, Ahsoka left, and so all of that going on, and Anakin just sitting there in his little chamber with all of this frustration, and maybe he is meditating too, and so, and this is common within KOTOR, the bonds that a master and apprentice share, so maybe they could play into that, they can, since they are hinting at bringing back KOTOR, doing something with KOTOR, they could have it where there is that bond and they have to break that bond. That's why they're different when they come back and meet each other face to face in A New Hope. And so this, I think, would be the best way without destroying that, without taking away that impactful moment that happens in A New Hope, is what if they have some kind of forced bond that was introduced in KOTOR 2 that Kreia and the Exile had, but instead it's with Obi-Wan and Anakin, and so Obi-Wan has to get rid of his guilt, right? So Obi-Wan needs to get over that, knowing that it was out of his power, it was out of his control. Yes, he could have seen stuff, but he was a good person and he did the best that he could. And then Anakin has to do the opposite, where he's brainwashed, right? He has to kind of kill off his humanity, and he has to go to the dark side, but there is still going to be a little flicker of hope left. So Anakin has kind of the opposite arc that Obi-Wan is going to have, and he falls even darker into his anger. He gives into his anger to that hate, that passion that he has. And so let's say they're both meditating and they're both doing something, and then Obi-Wan thinks that he's fighting his mental projection of Anakin, right? And Anakin thinks he's fighting his mental projection of Obi-Wan, but what's really happening is they're both in this meditative force space and they have a force bond, and that's because they say that there's going to be a big fight between them if it's not real, if it's all in their minds, but they don't know that they have that link, and so they fight in their minds, but they don't know that it's the actual real one, and they're somehow mentally connected. And so they fight, they sever it. Anakin in his mind wins, Obi-Wan in his mind wins, and so they both go off. That's why they're both confident when they meet up in A New Hope. So there would be two different versions of the fight because it's both in their own mind, and they somehow sever that bond until it's rekindled in A New Hope. That is the only way I think that this could work, could be successful. It could hit home without destroying and bastardizing and saying F you to the original trilogy. Will they do any of that? Probably not. But anyways, everyone, this is just my own little take on this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, thank you so much for watching. Please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. And if you didn't, thank you so much for watching this far through. I sincerely appreciate it. Until next time, everyone, I hope you have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. Hey everyone, if you'd like to help support the channel, check out my Etsy, where I sell prints of my original oil paintings and drawings that range from horror villains, heroes, and your favorite Star Wars characters. I also have an art channel where I post time lapses and tutorials, and also if you want to see work in progresses, I also have an Instagram dedicated specifically to that. Then finally, you can check out my Teespring for wearable merch, and all platforms are listed down below in the description of this video. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.